Nick Bailey, we just heard two wonderful, brilliant presentations on advertising in Western, in Europe and in the Eastern world, Japan. And the common theme, I would say, was integration in communication. What does integration on all those different platforms puts? What kind of demands does it put on communication?
Well, it means that creatives, when we're putting a communication solution together, need to be able to think across a number of disciplines. So I think in a way, when you look at the way the advertising model has changed over the last decade or so, and occasionally above-the-line agencies have experimented with bringing in digital creatives, and I think with limited success. And I think the reason for that is that a digital creative is only as strong as the team around him who understand the potential and the demands of the technology that he's going to be working with when he develops his or her creative idea.
How do you bring technology people and creativity people together?
I think you need a process that facilitates that. I think they think in very, very different ways, but their passions are for the same things, and that's for extending the boundaries of what's been done before. So as a creative, I'm always looking to do something that's completely original and to give people an experience that they've never had before that's going to surprise and delight them. Technologists are excited by the potential that technology and new platforms and new technologies offer them to give people a technologically driven experiences that give them something new and something they haven't experienced before. So those two passions are very similar, and if you can connect on that level, then you can go off into your own kind of domains and do your creative thing and do your technology thing, and then come back together to make it happen.
I think the conclusion here was that the divide between Eastern and Western communication is very much the Western communication is more about thinking, and the Eastern communication, advertising, is more about feeling. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that, I mean, in a way, it's a little bit of a simplistic division, because I think it's very, very hard to divorce thinking from feeling, and I think it's perhaps a different route in to the same thing, because we're all looking for an emotional response from the people who we're communicating with, and if there is no if there is no emotional response, then there is no communication. So if your route is in through a very sort of cerebral, visual, typically Anglo-Saxon, brash way, but you're still connecting with someone's kind of emotional center, or if you do it through, as the work that we saw Naoki present, by charming and romancing people through into that same place, you're still connecting with the same center.
Mm. But there is a difference between the Western chattering in the communication world and the more stillness and peacefulness in Eastern tone. Do you think we'll move towards the Eastern style also in Western Europe?
I don't think so, because we live in a very noisy world. Everybody's exposed to a huge amount of content and a huge number of messages all the time, and those messages are driven by that style of communication. So in order to cut through the noise, you need, in a sense, to compete with the noise. And I think if you're working in a more emotionally driven environment, you have the space and the time to romance and charm people that perhaps you don't have in the brasher West. Mm.
We're living in the ultimate era of globalization. Still, there are very big differences in how advertising looks and what advertising looks like in different countries. Do you think there will be, in the future, a global advertising language?
Absolutely not. I think, if anything, there'll be millions of different ways, different languages, and different ways of communicating with people, as many as there are people, because every communication now is a one-on-one personal communication. In the past, brands were able to broadcast in a top-down way and have consumers kind of line up behind their message. Well, those days are well and truly gone, so I don't think we'll be seeing a return to that.
Finally, what new technology are you most excited about when it comes to doing advertising?
I'm most excited by what's coming in outdoor and retail with digital. In London already, the Tube is completely going over to digital outdoor placements. We've done some fantastic work in the last year or so with interactive bus stops and animated bus sides. I think that's just going to grow and expand, and the potential of that's enormous.